Have you ever chased a goal so fiercely, but when you achieved it, it felt surprisingly unsatisfying? Picture this. You plan a once-in-a-lifetime hike up a mountain. You've seen the photos. You're buzzing. You do the climb, reach the top, snap the selfie, and think, is that it? You're not ungrateful. That's the arrival fallacy. It's what arriving at magnetic north feels like. And today, we're going to tackle how we can escape it by fixing our compasses to true north. Common explanations say that it's caused by impact bias, hedonic adaptation, or social comparison. And there is research to back this. However, these are only symptoms of a deeper, underlying issue. I call this the false north paradigm, a concept I've developed that explains how our goals can be intrinsically misaligned and how to realign. Today, we'll map how the false north paradigm creates the arrival fallacy and how to build a simple compass to course correct. Hey everyone, I'm Lakan and I hope you enjoy this journey. Now, what exactly is the arrival fallacy and the false north paradigm? The arrival fallacy, popularized by Harvard-trained psychologist Tal Ben-Shahar, is the belief that achieving a long-sought goal will deliver an enduring sense of happiness and fulfillment. But in reality, these feelings don't last long. This psychological process where we snap back to our typical emotional level is called hedonic adaptation. In practice, it shows up as a sharp high, a quick plateau, and an urge to immediately hunt the next target. As if the mind quietly says, cool, what's bigger? It isn't ingratitude. It's expecting a permanent state from a single event. However, on rare occasions, there have been goals in my life where I did not experience the arrival fallacy. For example, when I got my first job, I genuinely appreciated and celebrated that achievement. And the after felt richer, happier, and more fulfilling. I reflected on what was currently missing in our existing knowledge and research. And in doing so, I developed the false north paradigm. I can best describe the false north paradigm using this analogy. A compass does not point to true north, it points to magnetic north. This deviation from true north is called declination. Likewise, our goals can drift when they're set by external pulls, such as status, recognition, or short-term incentives instead of actually what matters to us. That drift is our life's declination. We arrive at a destination that feels good on paper, but feels off in practice. By contrast, goals that are intrinsically motivated tend to correct for this declination and bring us to true north, and we don't experience that snapback to our baseline emotional level. So, how do these two concepts fit together? Think of the arrival fallacy as the symptom we feel when we arrive at a goal, shaped by external pull or magnetic north. The false north paradigm is the navigation error underneath it, the subtle drift that started long before the milestone. When our goals are aligned with our inner direction, such as purpose, principles, and values, the destination resonates with the day-to-day reality that follows. The result? We experience the win as a waypoint, not the finish line. And the sense of progress lingers rather than evaporates. Hold both of these concepts within three modern contexts. First, the attention economy. Our social media feeds continually showcase peak moments, which makes other people's priorities feel more urgent for us. Second, the comparison trap. Consequently, it's never been easier to benchmark our lives against someone else's highlight reel, which resets our standards. Third, outcome-first culture. We're trained to chase visible milestones, often ones others have already chosen, over the invisible practices that actually create the desired life. Seen through these contexts, the arrival fallacy isn't mysterious. It's the predictable result of being pulled by the strongest magnets instead of the truest ones. Now, why does this happen? We'll use the false north paradigm as the cause. and show how the modern contexts amplify three well-known mechanisms that lead to the arrival fallacy, the symptom. Firstly, impact bias, also known as faulty forecasting. When we think about achieving a future goal, we overestimate how good it will feel or for how long it will last. The attention economy and comparison trap prime this error by feeding us only peak moments and social proof. So our mental preview is all highlight and no everyday context. The outcome-first culture doubles down by treating the big moment as the metric. Then we arrive and meet routine, trade-offs, and new responsibilities. The gap between the glossy preview and lived reality is what we experience as the arrival fallacy. Next, hedonic adaptation, aka fast reset. We reset fast, especially when the goal is extrinsically driven. In outcome-first culture, every win is a step towards the next number. So the baseline moves up quickly, but the high settles even faster. The attention economy and comparison trap keep serving the next target, which accelerates the reset. Hedonic adaptation also cushions the lows. After setbacks like a mispromotion or a tough breakup, mood usually drifts back to baseline. Serious bereavement is more complex and takes longer, but most of us gradually find a new steady state. Unless we build meaning and progress into the daily experience aligned to true north, the glow fades and the arrival fallacy returns. Lastly, liking versus wanting. Our brains run different gears for wanting and liking. The attention economy and comparison trap reward chasing visible, extrinsic targets aligned with magnetic north, so wanting surges during the pursuit. After we arrive, outcome-first culture turns the role into maintenance, meetings, metrics, stewardship, while the liking burst is short. If the after doesn't reflect our purpose, principles, and values, the gear shift feels flat, even when the outcome was objectively good. That too is the arrival fallacy. Let's explore this through a real career situation, one that I've experienced. You set your sights at the next promotion. Attention makes it feel urgent. Comparison imports other people's timelines. Outcome first pushes visible metrics. Impact biased oversells the payoff. Wanting surges in the chase. And the urgent crowds the important. You get the promotion, congrats. You feel a quick high, then adaptation resets the baseline. After the high fades, work shifts to maintenance, and reality feels flatter than expected. We feel guilty about course correcting because reputation, commitments, and sunken effort are tied to this path. Changing direction feels like letting others and our past self down. So what's at stake if we don't course correct? Left unchecked, this pattern turns into a hedonic treadmill. Each win gives a shorter buzz, and we raise the stakes instead of changing direction. We put in more effort with less meaning, which causes strain to accumulate, resulting in exhaustion and cynicism. And because reputation and sunken efforts are tied to this path, course correction starts to feel dangerous. So we double down, drift further from what really matters, and the arrival fallacy repeats. But when we do course correct, aligned goals and simple systems make the process feel good as we go. Small wins stack, results compound without the optics. We gain longevity and choice, more control of time, steady growth in meaningful skills, and relationships that deepen. So, how do we escape the arrival fallacy? First, there's currently a lot of business advice, especially from influential voices that glamorize speed. Move fast or lose. Go fast is great marketing, but without a map, it's bad navigation. You will still see some results, but it will lack longevity and be highly operational. Those who move quickly do so not because they're in a rush, but because they possess a deep self-awareness of their business and the environments in which they operate, enabling them to act with clarity and speed. Therefore, before we try to move faster, we first need to point in the right direction. It doesn't have to be perfect, just roughly in the right direction, and we'll course correct as we go. So how do we do that? Clarifying true north is not a 5-minute exercise. It's honest, unhurried attention built on real self-awareness. I'll share my full self-awareness framework in another video, but for now, sit with these 2 questions. What am I doing and why am I doing it? Then check for resonance. If the why points inward towards your purpose, principles, and values, you're aligned. But if it points outward towards status, recognition, and short-term incentives, you're not. From there, the where, what, and how will sort themselves out. As you're moving on this journey, you should create supporting systems and a tuned environment, because direction alone leaks. Systems turn intention into repeatable behavior, protects progress on busy days, and stops the urgent from overcrowding the important. Your environment slightly steers choices in the moment of action. If you don't shape it, the loudest signals will, and you'll drift back to false north. Let's see how this can apply to the career situation. Once we apply the how, the story bends in our favor. We stop trying to outrun the flatness and reshape our role around true north. We block time for deep work and projects that advance our goals, instead of being pulled into administrative urgencies or tasks that mainly benefit someone else's performance. For low importance or not aligned tasks, we can leverage AI. We set simple boundaries so that the urgent doesn't eat at the important. Within weeks, small wins stack, energy returns, and we make meaningful progress. The guilt about course correcting eases, because our results and reasoning are aligned with true north. We can negotiate responsibilities or make a principled move, knowing we're moving towards something and not a substitute for it. Let's explore some alternative or opposing views on what we've just discussed. You might be thinking, why not just set bigger goals? We're not anti-big, we're anti-drift. If the goal is aligned to your true north and backed by daily systems, go as big as possible. But if it isn't, a bigger goal will just magnify the misalignment, and the feelings related to the arrival fallacy will follow. What about metrics? What we can measure, we can monitor, and can allow us to better progress. Absolutely, but use numbers as the dashboard, not the destination. Let metrics inform whether the system is working, but don't let them replace the reason you built the system in the first place. Or what if my true north changes? If defined correctly, your true north cannot change drastically. It usually sharpens. Think the same area, but with clearer coordinates. Therefore, we course correct by updating routes, not reinventing north. Keep core values steady, then revise goals and systems to fit the new season. However, if your why stops resonating after honest reflection, revisit the self-awareness framework and redefine true north if required. Then move forward, roughly in the right direction again. This keeps you aligned without freezing you in place. Let's open this up. Where do you agree? Where do you disagree? What actually works for you? Drop it in the comments below. So what does this all mean? If you remember one thing, let it be this. The emptiness after a win isn't ingratitude, it's misalignment. The false north paradigm is the navigation error, and the arrival fallacy is the feeling when you arrive there. Choose direction before speed, because when your days match your direction, the arrival fallacy has nowhere to land. Let's stop living for the summit selfie and start loving the daily trail. Let me know what's one major goal from your past that you've now recognized as being purely driven by the comparison trap. I'll see you in the next journey.